All right, welcome to this video. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 openings, this time on LiChess. So let's start off with number 5, which is the Sicilian Defense. The Sicilian Defense, as quoting here an old MCO, the Sicilian Defense dates back to Italy of 400 years ago. It was mentioned by Palerio in 1594 and given its name by Greco early in the next century. It was not until MacDonald La Bordones match in 1834 that the chess world began to appreciate the value of the opening, and in the 20th century, the Sicilian has become the most played and most analyzed opening at both club and master levels. All world champions of this century have used it extensively, a claim true of no other opening. So, let's take a look at what we're looking at when we look at the Sicilian Defense. So, White has opened e4, taking the center. Very principled opening, and now coming at it slightly differently from the black side of the board, we're coming at this playing c5. Still taking control of a center square. So this is very much a principled opening. And if we follow this line a little further, we play knight f3. Again, there are other move orders here, other options that you can play. We'll just take a quick look at the most common here. And so here we have the old Sicilian, and by having these two pawns in the center, White is saying that they're going to have an open game, they're going to have more space possibly, and Black is saying, White, you might have overextended yourself already. So let's just take a quick look at a few other moves here and see how this is going to go. So this is just one line. Black starts to counterattack in the center. Taking a look at this position, it has showed up 47.9 million times. And we can see as we continue through this, there are some interesting ideas. And about here, the lines start to branch out. Things like bring the bishop out, castling, possibly bringing your bishop over to try and put some pressure on the knight. So lots of different ideas that have been played. Again, bishop. A lot of different ideas. And so as you look at studying the Sicilian Defense, there's definitely a lot of different ways to play it. But it's a very different game. Especially from the black side of the board, you are not playing the Italian, you're not playing the Spanish, you're not playing the center counter, you're not playing the King's Gambit, you're not... so by choosing to play the Sicilian, you've dictated very much what type of game you're going to play. And White has to adapt to that. So there's definitely some strength in the idea of saying, I want to play the Sicilian, and White has to play it too. The number 4 most popular opening on LiChess is the Scotch Game. So if we take a look at what the Scotch Game entails, we start off e4, e5. That's not a move. There we go. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. That's not what we're looking at. Knight c6, and then d4. This characterizes the Scotch Game. And so again, taking our little MCO here, the Scotch Game received its name from a celebrated correspondence match between London and Edinburgh in 1824. However, the moves have been analyzed as early as 1750 by Ercole de Rio in his, looks like some Latin that I don't remember from my high school days. Sorry. It became a favorite of Blackburn and Chagorian, and later was kept alive by Spielmann, Tartauer, and Mies, but then entered a dry period many years where it was thought to be too sterile to give winning chances. Recently has regained favor and is used occasionally by top players. So, as you can see, if this is the number 4 most common opening on LiChess, and if we take a look at the number that I'm looking at here, we're looking at this showing up. This is showed up in 64 million games on LiChess. So, this is a very popular opening on LiChess. And we can see, again, basic principles. We have taken control of the center. We have our knight that is impacting the center here. Our bishop is ready to come out. So looking at some basic ideas here that we might see. This is a very common position coming out of the Scotch. And now black is going to kind of decide which direction this is going to go. So moves like this, we can have other moves. We can see there's a lot of nuance that you can have here. But by playing the Scotch game, you're playing basic principled chess, developing your pieces, putting them on good squares. So right here, there's our Scotch game. And that is number 4 on our countdown of the most popular chess openings on LiChess. Number 3 most popular opening on LiChess is the Scandinavian Defense. So this is another E4 opening. You can see E4 is really popular on LiChess. And here we have the Scandinavian Defense, also known as the center counter defense. So let's take a look at what our MCO has to say about that. The center counter, also known as the Scandinavian Defense, is one of the semi-opening king-pawn games that permit black to choose from the start of a defense more familiar to him than to his opponent. He may thereby deny white the opportunity of easy transposition to attacking variations. The sole exception is, and they have, you can transpose into the Panov attack of the Caro-Kann. And so obviously transposition is something that we always have to consider here. But if we take a look at the Scandinavian and our lines here, most common here, we take, queen comes out, knight comes out, hits the queen. And at this point, there's a lot of different ideas that you can have going into this. So queen back is one idea, queen over to the side, at which point white then begins developing. It would be a mistake for most cases for you to try and go queen hunting at this point from the white side of the board. Just develop normally and say black has wasted too many moves with his queen. And so here, white is ready to castle. Black is a little behind in development. The queen can become a target later on. This is the basic ideas that we have on the Scandinavian. Again, going back, this position right here, E4, and then D5, E takes D. This right here has happened. 85 million different games have been played in this position right here. So very much a very popular opening on LiChess. It would benefit you if you're an E4 player. Be familiar with the ideas of the Scandinavian. Be ready to play against it. Very popular, 85 million games. You could be one of them. All right, let's take a look at number 2 on our list. It is, again, a king pawn opening. And we have E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, and then bishop B5. This right here is the Ruy Lopez, also known as the Spanish game. Let's take a look at what we have to say about this one. This opening, half a millennium old, represents the classic play of the game of chess. It was first mentioned in a historic Gottenheim manuscript of 1490 but the Spanish priest Ruy Lopez in his Libero, boy, if you speak Spanish, I apologize. Yeah, published in his book in 1561. Was the first to treat the opening systematically. Hence, the opening bears his name, although in other languages it is usually called the Spanish game. So, Spanish game or the Ruy Lopez. The Ruy Lopez came to the fore in the late 19th century, where chess strategy reached a deeper level than the sharp gambits of the Romantic era. So, this is very standardized chess. Early attacks tested Black's defenses only tactically. After several accurate moves, Black could generally attain equality. The Ruy Lopez instead aimed at quick blows at the weak f7 point, puts pressure on Black center with the once removed attack on the e pawn. Though this pawn is not in immediate danger, the Black must patiently defend for a long time, which explains the opening's nickname, Spanish torture. Okay, so let's take a look at the main ideas here behind the Ruy Lopez. As we've seen, this bishop right here is what puts us entering the Spanish. This has shown up in, what was the number? This is shown up in 88.9 million games on LiChess. So very, very popular opening. If you play the black side of this, be prepared for what white is planning to do. Let's look at the main ideas. A6 is a very common idea, as is D6. You can also have knight F6. This is considered the Berlin defense. You can have bishop C5 come out of it. So lots of different ideas that you can have out of the opening. But again, this is very, very well-trodden territory. If you're going to play this, be prepared that you might be walking into somebody else's prep, but you're also walking in on very well-trodden ground. There's tons and tons of moves that are going to work, that are going to be solid. So let's just follow the main idea here. If we look at this position, here we go. Bishop's not captured, and then, as we were saying before, this f7 square becomes a target. And so the game's going to continue. You're going to castle. You're going to develop. This is a very flexible opening. You can have a closed game, the way that we have here, where the e-pawn are still facing each other here. You can also have a more open game where you exchange in the center. And in either case, you can have a pretty tactical game. Black is defending from the most case, but basically has equal chances to win. Let's take a look at the number one most common game on LiChess, and that is the Italian. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and then bishop c4. So we are at the Italian game. The Guico Piano, or Italian game, can mean different things to different players. For some, it is an attempt to advance in the center and start a quick attack. For others, its name is literally the quiet game, an opportunity to outmaneuver the opponent in a positional way. Since it was mentioned in Gottenheim manuscript of 1490, one would think that 500 years of analysis would resolve the issues, yet innovations continue to occur in several lines. There's a sharp Molière attack, challenging old conclusions. In the quiet variations, you have Karpov, others, and it goes on to say lots of different things. All right, so the Italian game, very, very principled chess. You immediately are targeting this f7 square. If you are a beginner player, I highly recommend you take a look at this opening. This is a great opening to learn how to play chess and how to play chess well. yes, there are other openings that you can play, but this is going to teach you what chess is about, because you're going to play open games, closed games, you're going to play tactical games, you're going to play strategic games. If you want to get better at playing chess, this is not a bad opening, which is probably why it is so popular on LiChess. It has shown up, this position right here has shown up 157 million times on LiChess. This is a very, very popular opening, and so we can see some of the main ideas here. This is the classical variation right here, slowly building in the center, attacking in the center, exchanging. These are very, very common positions. Okay, so these positions have been played over and over again. When I was an early player, as I was first starting out, I really enjoyed the Evans Gambit. Evans Gambit was one I always enjoyed getting in these positions. So I would look at, let's see, that's this one right here. So there's the Evans Gambit. If you're looking for a nice attacking line out of the Italian, I highly recommend you take a look at this. The idea here is that you're saying this bishop is going to make too many moves, and you're going to be able to build an attack in the center here. And if the bishop is continuing to dance around in the center, you're going to get all you want out of the opening. Here you can see white is developed, black is not. And this is very quickly, you want to try and mount an attack. Your queen can often come here, or in some cases it might come here or out this way. Lots of different ideas. I very much enjoyed playing the Evans Gambit when I was coming through, but there are a lot of different ways to play the Italian, which is probably why it's such a popular opening. This position, again, showing up most common on LiChess. If you enjoyed this video, give a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.